It is. It's always game day in Cleveland. He's Daryl Ryder. I am Andy Baskin. And of course, we are brought to you locally by Smiley and Bryant. That's right. Smiley One and Bryant. Those are our good friends. And they are Northeast Ohio's heating and cooling expert. Daryl, the continued news in Berea is about the starting quarterback, Deshaun Watson. And it does not look hopeful for Sunday, as far as I'm concerned, sitting here on a Wednesday afternoon as we tape this, that he will be the quarterback against San Francisco 49ers on Sunday. So here we are, it'll be 2.5 weeks then since where we are right now, since he's played a game, and it looks like he is not going to be playing on Sunday. That's what it's trending that way.
Yeah, you almost have to feel for Kevin Stefanski. This is the fourth year he's the head coach of this football team, and let's be honest about it, 3 of those years he's had a quarterback circus on his hands, right?
Right.
That he's had to deal with, whether it's, Baker Mayfield being hurt, Deshaun Watson being available, because of league discipline, and then obviously now this year with Deshaun Watson and his shoulder injury. So you almost kind of feel bad for him. If Watson can't go, PJ Walker gets to start for the Browns. He's got about 15 games under his belt and 7 starts. The numbers are pretty grotesque. I'll be honest with you. If Deshaun Watson doesn't play on Sunday, I really don't think it matters who the starting quarterback is. The San Francisco 49ers are the superior team on both sides of the football. I think Deshaun levels that playing field quite a bit for the Browns, Andy. But we saw what happened against Baltimore with Dorian Thompson-Robinson, unfortunately, and that just was a non-competitive game. We've talked about that on the podcast. So, obviously they feel PJ gives them a better chance to win that game without Deshaun Watson come Sunday. But yeah, I'm not overly optimistic. I mean, he's actually regressed in the progression here, right? He went from, throwing a couple of footballs in practice, not very long throws, not very intense throws, but at least we got to see him at least walk around, talk to teammates and coaches and trainers and, stuff like that. Take some mental reps during some drills and that. And now we don't see him. He's been indoors the last 2 practices, getting rehab. And yeah, he is doing some throwing indoors as part of that. But the bottom line is he's not practicing. He's not taking reps, which, by the way, he did do leading up to the Ravens game. So hence my comment about he's regressing as far as where he's at on this injury timeline. Now, a lot can happen between now as we record this podcast on a Wednesday afternoon and Sunday morning. I am with you, though. I'm not overly optimistic that Deshaun Watson is going to start against San Francisco. And quite frankly, I don't know. Let me ask you this. Mm-hmm. Should the Browns even try to start him if he's not 100% or close to 100%? Should they just take this one for the team, so to speak, and give him another week to allow that rotator cuff to calm down and heal even further?
Personally, because it's San Francisco, I would give him the week off. I just why risk it against one of the best defenses in the league? Why? I know everyone else is out there trying to do their thing, but with the financial investment you have in that quarterback, I don't know that it's worth it putting out there. But take us behind the curtains, Daryl. How do we know he's not practicing indoors? How do we know? I mean, the media only gets to watch him for a little bit. Do we have to believe everything Kevin Stefanski's saying? I mean, and I would say this about what Kevin says. What Kevin Stefanski says at that moment is true at that moment, and 2 seconds later it could be completely different. So we talk about him maybe throwing indoors, rehabbing indoors. What does that consist of? I mean, could he be rehabbing with wide receivers and throwing the ball? I wonder sometimes what a head coach says, how much of it's true or not. And then when we say he's working out inside, what does that mean? And how much time does the media actually get to watch practice? So fill in the blanks on that.
Well, we get to watch about 20 minutes or so. He's not working out with wide receivers because they're all accounted for. So when we go out to practice, we take attendance. We have the team's roster. I had it here somewhere. I was going to show.
Sure, that's all right.
We have the roster, and we go in and we check off everybody to make sure that what the team tells us matches up with what we're seeing as far as the attendance goes. They listed him as not likely to practice in the pre-practice injury report. I'm anticipating that when the injury report comes out here shortly on a Wednesday afternoon, he will be a DNP. Because if he does practice, right, let's say they're playing.
I think this is the interesting part. Keep going. Yep.
if they're let's say they're playing games with us, right?
Yeah.
We just don't want the media to see what Deshaun Watson can or cannot do. And this
Sure.
has happened in the past.
And we're not the only team.
As soon as we would leave, then he would come out and take reps. However, they would have to report that on the injury report and say he was limited. So once we get that injury report, that's kind of like a legal document that's sent to the league office. And that report has to be accurate, or else teams can face penalties if it's not. So that's how we know Deshaun's not taking reps. But
what does limited mean? Standing out on the field with the team, throwing one pass? I mean, what's the definition of limited?
He could take positional and individual reps and stretch and all that kind of stuff that we see. And then when it comes to the team portion, he doesn't take anything. Anything that does not constitute a full practice, right? But he's out there and doing something of something counts as a limited practice. So going back to that Ravens week, right? On Wednesday, this is after we had talked to Deshaun, after we talked to Kevin Stefanski, and no mention was made of any type of injury whatsoever. We had no idea what was going on. Go out there, and then we see, oh, Deshaun's not throwing a football. What's going on, right? So then on that injury report, Deshaun was listed as limited. He was listed as limited on Thursday. He was listed as limited / questionable on the Friday injury report. So now fast forward 2 weeks now to from Ravens week now to 49ers week now with the buys behind us. DNP means did not participate at all in practice whatsoever. That means he didn't stretch. He didn't do any individual drills. He didn't do any team drills. He did nothing related to practice. And Kevin Stefanski said in his press conference that he would be spending Wednesday rehabbing. And yes, that does constitute throwing inside with the trainers and the medical staff that he's working with, but he isn't throwing passes to Amari Cooper right now. He's not throwing passes to Elijah Moore, okay, during practice. So that's the difference between practicing and not practicing and rehab and things like that.
Gotcha. And I probably just to cover all bases here, let's just say a guy goes out and practices and ate a bad burrito the night before and has to run back into the facility and miss 2 periods of a practice.
Limited
with stomach issues, right? It would say stomach issues, right?
No, they will put illness on the thing.
Illness. Okay, so same thing there. So that's
they don't have to get too specific with the injury report. So now what they've done for Deshaun is they've said right shoulder, but they actually don't even have to do that. They could just say shoulder. That's why when you look at the injury report, Myles Garrett is a foot injury. We know it's the left foot because that's what he had the walking boot on. As he left the stadium following the loss to the Ravens, but they just put foot on there. Joel Bitonio, they just put a knee. They don't tell us if it's the left or the right. So they don't have to get overly specific. They just have to put on there, limited. So, full, limited, DNP, and then the body part that's injured, or in this case, if he's got a cold or illness or upset stomach or whatever, that falls under the illness thing. Or what they also do is, for instance, like Amari Cooper typically will get a Wednesday or a Thursday off. And same thing goes for Myles Garrett. And what they will do is they will just put on there not DNP, not injury related /rest. But the other thing they do is they'll do, if like, for instance, in Joel Bitonio's case, right? They can put on there not injury related /knee. It's just to disclose that he does have a knee injury. However, that's not why he was not practicing on that given day. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And again, this is all for the NFL to kind of say, hey, we're giving you as much disclosure as we possibly can. And
about player availability, right?
Yeah, we're not sending a horse out there racing a horse race that does, that's can only use 3 legs.
I think the line moved from like 3.5 to I think it's 6 or whatever. I don't know what the line is now.
I thought it was 5 to start the week. I don't know though.
No, it was 3.5 to start the week. And then it has moved a little bit. I don't know if the line has moved any further. I don't know. Are we allowed to give betting advice on this podcast?
I wouldn't give any advice. I mean, I would never. First of all, I mean, go ahead. You can do what you want.
I'd get in on the -6 while you can because it might be 49ers -28 on Sunday.
I have a feeling it's like Ohio State Rice, and they won that game. Like Ohio State beat Rice like 72-0, or they had some game like that. I thought it was Rice.
It's not going to be that. Look, the Browns have a
That's what I keep thinking about. Like,
but
here we go. This is like a D1 school playing a D3 school, but our defense is better than that. Like, I just think that, the big hope in this game is that your defense is going to go out there and help you.
and I was going to wait till the next segment to tell you how the Browns can actually win this football game.
Well, hang tight then. Why don't you do that? We'll wait till the next segment, Daryl. You do that. So it's always game day in Cleveland. He's Daryl Ryder. I'm Andy Bass. Let's talk about that, and let's also talk about why is DTR not the backup quarterback? Coming up.